What's up, everyone? Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you. Now, one that was coming out that probably one of the more hyped up ones of this month was the newest EP from Lorna Shore. And I return to Nothingness. This comes out on the 13th of August on Century Media Records. This is the fourth EP from this band that formed in 2010 in New Jersey. Now, they have 3 full lengths, and if you're not familiar with this band, pretty much a straight deathcore band. They were unfortunately in the news for less than favorable stuff with their last frontman, CJ McCready, who had some pretty nasty charges brought up against him and was vamoosed from the band not too long after. So this is their first release with their new frontman, Will Ramos. Now, by now, reasonably sure everyone has heard the song To the Hellfire.
Yes.
That seemed to be pretty much the buzz around all the deathcore and even just kind of metal circles. And
it's all over TikTok. I've heard it 50,000 times, and just the breakdown.
I've only heard it like 4 times. That's probably why I'm not making that face. This song, all right, I had to check it out because of all the hype around it. And, I mean, it's brutal. And in fact, that is the mode of this entire 3-song EP. It is brutal. It is unrelentingly heavy, in your face at all times. I dare those breakdowns to be heavier. I don't.
I really don't. My buddy Trevor said it was offensively heavy. Yeah.
It's just nonstop going the entire time. The vocals, Will is possessed by demons and farm animals.
And man-bear pig.
Yeah. This guy's growl range, like, I mean, I don't know about like any singing or whatsoever because that shit doesn't happen here. This is growls, shrieks, I would even say pukes.
Dude, the breakdown in this song.
Yeah.
When he works up to that, it's like he's dry heaving and trying to work up to a puke.
It's like a 60-pound sick cat retching a hairball directly onto the microphone. It's disturbing because, I mean, I don't know what the vocal technique there is other than puke. That is pretty much it. But the effect is gross. It's gross, but I mean, it's heavy, and I have to say, Will pushes his vocals really hard on this. Like, he wanted to make a hell of an impression, and he does.
Yep, and the drummer, too. The drummer throughout this album is pushing the limits of the human ability to play kick drums at an ungodly tempo for a majority of the record.
Yeah. The kick drums were moving at pretty much the pace of what I assume the cardiogram of a gerbil that ingested a bunch of meth is similar to.
It's fair.
It's insane. And, I mean, I like it. Of course, I appreciate the amount that he's putting into it. Granted, triggered, but you can't take anything away from the playing ability. This dude is flying. Mm-hmm. But kind of the main thing on here that took me out of it is the fact that it all kind of sounds very artificial, I guess is kind of the word. Very robotic. Like, it's very stiff. And there's some sections on here, namely in the title track at the end, where it sounds like it switches to a drum machine. Like those, in between the flurries of double bass pedal stuff, it's that ba-ga-da-doom, but it sounds different. The way the drums sound, it sounds, I don't know, like a drum machine, like an industrial metal sort of sound, just for that second.
Like, look, I understand triggers, and I understand why they're there, and, you can say what you want about it being cheating, but really it's just to, make each hit clear.
Yeah.
Make them all even toned and volume-wise, and the great. If you're going to trigger, though, I personally would not go with something that sounds that robotic. And the drums are very up front in the mix.
Oh, yeah.
And to make matters worse, in my opinion, they have synths that are all over this album.
The mix is an issue for me.
And the synths are so high that they drown out the guitars.
Yeah.
And if your drums are going to be that forward in the mix, you kind of don't want to drown out your guitars.
And then with the vocals, it feels odd because, all right, the vocals are fiercely layered, and it sucks because it kind of takes away from all the work he did on these single takes, but they throw in like a layered growl, a scream, and another growl with more reverb behind it, and it just comes off overproduced. And then the levels are odd, like, you know, to the Hellfire, it sounds more muted in the more screamy, puke, phlegmy one. It's a weird scream. Like, when you hear it, it was like, that sounds like it's coming with a prize every time he makes that noise.
That cough came with a prize.
But when it comes down to the low growls, all of a sudden it pushes the vocals right out in front. And that's usually accompanied with a ridiculously low bass drop, which, I mean, those are fun in the car. But all of this kind of works against the guitars. The guitars get buried unless it's a lead, which the leads on here are scorching.
Yes, good job on the leads.
They are really well done.
Takes almost a neoclassical turn at times, which is definitely a sharp contrast from the rest of the song that is, again, offensively heavy.
Yes. But when all that stuff is going on, like the double bass drum, the vocals, all these giant synths, which are too much, to be honest.
It's the sound. It's the angelic chorus, because at times it sounds almost whimsical.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what you want.
Yeah. But take all that, and then your rhythm guitars are essentially lost in there. And they have technically two guitarists. Both guitarists also do bass tracks too, but one of them is the lead guitarist, and the lead tone is, for the most part, the only one that really shines. Unless it's a big breakdown, which there are plenty. Then the guitars really kind of come out. But the main issue here is all these synths. And it's not like, I don't know, I think it aspires to be more gothic.
Yeah.
But it kind of comes off like Christmas time in Gotham at the beginning of Batman Returns. It's kind of like Danny Elfman, except on like a really dark, creepy day. Like, not his recent stuff with Trent Reznor. That's dark and creepy in a different way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's too much. It doesn't add enough to the music, and it's not like in the background where it should be. Like, just to enhance it.
Yeah, like you should be creating an atmosphere. You don't want to make that as present. You want that to fall behind, there to be something looming in the darkness, whereas here it's just beep, and that's, you know.
And there are sections where it's just the choir. The drawn-out end of the Abyss is just a big symphonic section. And I don't know, it was kind of a thing on here when it came down to endings, that it feels like there's a lot of false endings before the actual ending, like to the Hellfire. Yep. Breakdown. No, slow the breakdown down. No, hold on. Let him puke his guts up. Then we'll break it down one more time. I know I like the energy in terms of like, let's be as crushingly heavy as possible, but, you know, sometimes the songwriting stuff is like, I don't know why that is necessarily there. Like, you did the play that riff but slower and heavier part a couple of times ago.
Yeah. And they definitely have jammed some black metal, I think.
Yeah.
But unfortunately it came off as more of like the campy kind of black metal.
Like, I mean, there's stuff I think that, you know, atmosphere-wise, I think maybe they were going for Emperor, but they got like, throw any like female-fronted kind of goth heavy band. Yep. Especially the title track. The entire beginning of the title track kind of sounds like there should be a female vocalist on there. And honestly, somehow I think that would have worked a little bit better, at least for the angelic choirs and all the keyboards. I think that would have worked better. But overall, I don't know. This was something that is kind of out of my wheelhouse, admittedly.
And mine too. This would have been cool to me because I went through a deathcore phase.
Oh yeah,
I went through the everything is heavier than everything else, and I chased breakdowns for a long time. But I mean, it kind of fell away once I broadened my horizons, and being heavy for the sake of being heavy is cool, but there has to be some additional song structure.
Yeah, some nuance.
Yeah.
Maybe even some subtlety. That's not happening on this shore. Yeah, that's my thing is it's heavy, it's out front. You know, that is, I think, the mission statement, but when it comes down to like all the extra stuff, that's where it becomes too much. At one point I did really like deathcore. Like, I still can go back and listen to like, you know, older Whitechapel and thoroughly enjoy it. There's a lot of good deathcore out there, so I don't necessarily hate it. It's just something that's kind of grown a little dated with me.
I hate to say we got older, but
We did.
We got older.
We got older. It happens.
We got older, and our music tastes got older along with us.
Yeah, that happens.
You know, it does happen. And so, yeah, I can also say that this is not really in my wheelhouse anymore.
This is for a younger crowd.
If I was still in my 20s, if I was still in like my late teens, early 20s, this would be fucking amazing.
You'd be drunk, passed out in a puddle of your own vomit.
Yep.
But with horns up, like, nah, I'm still good.
Drinking tequila, Wild Irish Rose, and
barfing everywhere.
Barfing. Yep.
But yeah, overall, I kind of took that into consideration. That this is only a 3-song EP, but unfortunately, I'm only going to give this 2.5 stars. And it isn't as though I don't appreciate the musicianship. The musicianship is awesome. I think Will is a disturbingly good vocalist when it comes down to the heavy shit.
Yep, and definitely a good fit for this band.
Yeah.
There's a lot of vocalists in death metal that can't pull that off.
It's
so
kind of unnerving. I hope he's all right.
Right. He definitely, I think, should see a doctor. The vocal cords might be severed.
He's young. He's sturdy.
Well, that's true. He is young.
And as much as I appreciate like the precise nature of the music, like how syncopated everything is, and how heavy it is, to me it's just heavy. And then the atmosphere stuff doesn't necessarily work as well. It's a whole bunch of colliding ideas instead of ideas that mesh. So that's kind of my ruling on there. Again, I'm not necessarily the target demographic for this, but I did want to weigh into it because I know this was a very hyped release. So if you love this, you love it, go out and get it. Get their shit, go see them live. But this one wasn't for me.
I'm going to give it a 3. It wasn't awful. I don't want, people out there to say, oh, the Thralls think these guys suck. Again, it takes me back to being younger. Like, this is a sound I chased for a long time, and they do well to make things heavy. If you like breakdowns, you're gonna love the dog shit out of this EP because it's Breakdown City. The synths, I can't. Like, I just can't stand by and call it a work of art. Drop the mix a little bit, change the tone. If you want to spice things up, I mean, it's obvious you guys can play your instruments.
Yes.
It's quite obvious. If you want to spice it up, though, there are so many ways to do that and still be, within your genre. Still be not betraying the code, so to speak.
I don't think anything was betrayed here.
The synths got me in the robotic drum sounds, and, again, it's also a bit out of my wheelhouse. I don't steadily jam deathcore.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily hip to what's new out there, so.
We're hip and cool young people over here at Thralls.
Yep, they're here at Thralls.
Ow, my hip popped.
Oh, my back. Fuck. Anyway, yeah, wasn't bad. It's not for me.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. We're also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there will be a link below for that. We are going to put some new stuff on there eventually. We have some ideas. Schedules are freeing up. Things are happening.
Yes. Yeah, we are, in spite of the fact that you may be on our Patreon and you're like, well, these guys don't do shit. We do. It's coming.
Shit.
We do shit. I shit a lot.
And when you're old, you worry about regularity. We also have t-shirts. We are going to order some more here eventually, but currently we still have XLs, larges, 2XLs, and maybe a smaller too.
I think there's a small in there, but don't quote me.
But if you would like one, and keep in mind we are going to order more and probably some other stuff, hit us up on thrallsofmetal@gmail.com. Let us know in the message, put shirts in there, and we will make sure we get one to you. Also, we have a giveaway going on. We are looking to hit 7,500 subscribers. We are currently over 66. That is remarkable in itself. Thank you all for that so much.
Yeah, for real. I tell you what, this has already blown my expectations.
Yes.
And the fact that we are not only, making content all the time, but we're actually making some friends in the process.
Yeah.
I'm baffled.
It's wild.
I really appreciate it, and I am every day mind blown by how this progresses. So
So to reward one of our subscribers with this giveaway, we have a stack of 8 CDs. There is an awesome Cannibal Corpse CD in there from Violence Unimagined. Awesome album.
Go with their 8.
There we go. He's got it.
Math is hard.
But we can't wait to get to that point, and we're so thankful to just keep moving on this. And yeah, rest assured you're going to hear more from us because, well, we do this all the time. That is kind of the tagline.
Yeah, we're long-winded fucking idiots.
That is also true. That's
Yes.
too wordy for a tagline, though.
It is. Yeah, we gotta. It won't be on the next shirt. You'd be all right.
So with that, thank you all for watching, and we will catch you later.